Welcome to Simply Trade, brought to you by Global Training Center. My name is Lalo, and together with my co-host, Andy Shiles, we have well over 60 years of combined trade, logistics, and supply chain experience. Along the way, we have seen and experienced different challenges in trade compliance. We decided to put the show together and call on our friends and colleagues in the business to discuss these topics and just hang out with us to shoot the ship on all things trade. Thank you for spending some time with us. Enjoy the show. Hey, Annick. So we're back. This is our second episode from ICPA. We're going to finish up and round off all the other people we interviewed.
Yeah, part 2 of this special episode. Let's give it some applause. Woo! We're so excited. We hope you enjoyed this first part of the interview, which was also the first day of the conference. So the people that we interviewed now, that was on day 2 for us. Which this one is a very special episode because we have a very special person. I called her the leader, but she did not say so. She said she calls herself Lalo has to help me because I always forget. I'm sorry.
It's the cruise director.
Yes, the cruise director, Elisabeth. She was awesome, very upbeat. She was running around the entire place at all times smiling. I don't know how she did it because it's a pretty long day and with lots of events and lots of things happening. But, you know, she managed to do it and we got to interview her. She took 10 minutes out of her time for us and we had a great time. I mean, we talked about a bunch of things and also upcoming things. So stay tuned if you want to know what's upcoming for ICPA. 2023. So that's exciting. So a little teaser. So you're going to have to stay till the end. I'm not going to tell you the time. So you're going to have to listen to the entire episode.
Yeah, but before her, we're going to have a couple other attendees. These two were from the same company and they're both first-timers.
Yes, first-timers.
Yeah, they gave us some really nice insight as to why. In fact, one of them was only a month. He had been working there only 1 month at his company, and he...
Yeah, and I think that's the best. Well, I mean, for this conference, it's like the best because you learn so much at this conference and you get to connect with so many people that being there for, okay, you've been in this industry for 1 month, but now you really get to like learn all these things. And that's amazing. I mean, I don't know anything about trade. I'm sorry. This is a trade podcast and I'm on here, but I really don't know anything. But you know what? Now I feel like I've been in this industry for like 5 years because of all the content I got to, intake at this conference. So
and all the people you met? You met everybody. She was a little social butterfly.
I know, they were all so great. You know, nothing I expected before. I didn't think I would be able to talk that much, but I did. So, you know what? Let's just jump right into it because I'm really excited for you guys to listen to this.
Yep.
So let's get to it. Let's get another applause because we're so excited.
Woo! Yay, let's go.
Okay, see you guys soon again.
Thank you. Enjoy the show.
Okay, that one was good.
How are you?
Good. How are
Thank you. Wonderful. Here we go.
So we have Nancy and, oh my God, Jeancarlos.
Nancy Hoyle
Yes.
from Cinemark.
Cinemark.
USA. All right.
You see their movies all the time.
And all right. You got to say, listen. I'm going to qualify this right now. Lalo knows what I'm about to say. I can bastardize your name so horribly, and I don't mean it, but I'm dumb as a box of rocks. And it's just like, so, all right, so what we got here? Jeancarlos?
Yes, John.
Jeancarlos.
Yes. Okay. All right. I was going to say, it's probably going to be Juan Carlos or something.
No, you got it.
Jeancarlos. All right.
So we have both
Same
of
company.
Yes, Cinemark.
Oh, Cinemark.
Yeah. So they're both clients.
You're both first-timers.
No,
Yes.
Yeah, and they're both
We are.
clients of Global Training Center. So they've attended our webinars, and so especially her, she's done a few,
The
right?
HTA codes.
Yes.
Export documents.
Fantastic.
So tell us about the first-timers. Yeah, let's talk about ICPA.
Yeah. So ICPA, obviously, we're here at the Fall Conference, and this has been where there are just right at 300 people in attendance. And normally, before the pandemic, that's in the Fall Conference, there are 300 folks, and that's what you normally see. and then it drops off and all that. So here we're back to 300, and then there's about 100 online. So that's, this is great. So since this is your first conference attending, what do you think of the ICPA conference itself, just in general?
Wow, it's been eye-opening
Yes?
for me. Yes.
How so is has it been overwhelming from all right, there's too much information, or is it's wow from a standpoint like, hey, there's some pretty cool people here,
Well, it's been an eye-opening because I knew a little bit about compliance, but the stuff that you hear on the conference that you take, they have a lot of information, but they put it in a way that is easy to comprehend, fun also,
Fantastic.
and there is like new terms that you learn, and their experience, they share experience
Right.
also in the conference, and that helps a lot.
So it's stretching your comfort zone in a sense, you're realizing maybe some of what you didn't know, then, sounds like to me. And it's good.
Yes.
So how about yourself, Giancarlos?
Well, I mean, I would say very similar things. To me, I mean, Nancy has way more years of experience in this than I do. I got hired like a month ago, so
Yeah.
the boss told me, hey, show up to a conference, and here I am.
Right.
So it's been great. I mean, I've been learning a lot of things. A lot of it is reinforcing what you already know, but maybe I'm not the best judge because I'm learning so much still. I'm in the process of like
No,
getting
but that's
knowledge.
the best. That's perfect.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Because like the networking. Have you guys been networking a lot? I mean, I see you guys walking around a lot. Did you go like to the night events, like to the mixers, like the line dancing last night, and like no?
Not so much, but we have met people
Yes.
with 25 years experience.
Oh yeah.
I just met a lady today. She works for a chemical company, and she's been doing this for 25 years.
Right.
And she, shared her experience about the traveling that she does, the different regulations that you find in different countries.
Right.
So it's been nice meeting
Yeah.
all these people.
Well, the thing that I know ICPA in general is a organization where the networking here is probably first and foremost. People talk about it, but literally you got to meet those folks in the industry, whether they're, and I say industry, I'm talking import export compliance, transportation, logistics, and all that. There's the legal side of it, but then there's also the scenario of not only meeting somebody that has greater knowledge on things, but just the friendships. I mean, I love how Ann Lister puts it, and I say it year after year because she's so right. This is the family reunion that you want to go to. So some good folks. But with that, again, the overwhelming side of so much information, and yet you see where you're going, and you just got to constantly improve and go from there, and especially if you're brand new to this thing. But the other side of this is like the vendors that we're all looking at and talking with. I always tell folks, you know what, learn, go through each one of these vendors and learn the services and the things of that nature, because you'd be amazed. May not be a year from now, maybe 5-6 years down the road. I mean, Lalo and I go back many years, and it's like we cross paths here and there and whatever. It's like, I have an issue with this problem or that one. You know what, I remember a vendor having that, or an exhibitor, or I know somebody, and I can pick up the phone. It's what I call bird dogging. So it's like, well, they don't know, but they can know somebody that does know.
Yeah, exactly.
Stuff like that. That's fantastic. Okay, so you've gotten hired a month ago, you said, roughly.
Yes, exactly.
So tell me, what's your background? You just fresh out of school, or?
Yeah, so still pretty fresh out of school. I graduated about a year ago. My first
From where?
From the University of Texas at El Paso.
Oh, El Paso. Hey.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I graduated from there. From there, I was able to get a job with Amazon, so it was much more domestic.
Yep.
But my background is in international business and stuff. Eventually, I saw this job come up for Cinemark. And I didn't think I was going to get it, I'm going to be honest with you. They were asking for an international logistics coordinator, and I saw it, and I was like, well, let me try. I don't know. Maybe they'll think I'm great. I don't know. I applied. Now I'm here a month later. It's been great. What me and Nancy try to focus on in our job, we primarily export things to Latin America.
Okay.
So, I mean, coming here is great because you do get a perspective of how everybody else is dealing with it. Mm-hmm. Because, yeah, me and Nancy know, like, our struggles, our everyday struggles, but it's great. Right. At the very least, it's great to come and know you're not alone. Yeah. You're not the only person who has to, like, fight with everybody to get things done, you know. Especially in this climate, it's just hard to get anything moved from point A to point B. So,
well, let me ask you a question. So you've got a degree in international business, yes. Did I hear it? Okay. So in what you're looking at and the information now that you've seen in some of these seminars, did you pick up on the international transactions and what all's involved in an international transaction from a cargo and the internet, import, export, sales and all that kind of thing with your degree, or is this something where you may have talked on the finances, but the nitty gritty of making it reality was not in your college?
You know what? Class? That's a perfect point. I think it's much more of the latter, where in school, like, you'll learn the financials and you'll briefly go over, you'll select this person and they'll put it on a boat, ship it to wherever you want.
Right.
That's not how it works. I mean, I'm sure all of us know, like, it takes time. You got to build relationships. And like you said, you got to research. You got to make sure you put time into those relationships to go and move in from there. But yeah, no, it's completely different from not completely different, but there's a lot more to it. And I think this convention really highlights that.
Right. Well, Nancy, from your perspective, what about, I guess, in coming here and all that, what's your overall impression from where you're going to go from this point forward with what you've been learning? Are you going to do more specific classes and things, or what?
Well, first of all, I'm going to go back and share all this information with my team. And also going to ask questions to our managers, like, are we doing enough audit on our export documents?
Yes. Yes.
Do we have a good compliance training program in place? And just learn a little more about, the subjects that probably catch my eye.
Yeah.
Like the HTA code.
Right.
And like getting some certifications on license.
Right.
On different regulations.
So Excellent.
Nice.
Well, you know what? It shows you where if you got a game plan, and you don't have to do it all at one time, but lay out for yourselves personally. You need to look at laying out a education, for a career development and all that kind of stuff. One last question: are you members of ICPA by chance?
We are.
Okay.
Both?
Yes.
Excellent. What would you recommend for others? Should they become a member or try it out, or what?
I think they definitely should become a member, and not just because you are here at the conference or you want to come to next year's conference, but also because I receive emails that are very informative
as a membership
on my email work, and they offer so many also courses with no cost, only that you spend some time to do that. So it's a lot of benefits. Become these, and also, like you say, you also network.
Yes.
I'll tell you what, it's excellent. Well, I'll tell you what, I guess we need to wrap up because they're giving away things.
You don't want to miss out on winning something.
Thank you so much for sitting down with us. We really appreciate it.
Awesome. You guys were great. Thank you.
Guys. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye.
Okay, well, I'm back because Andy is in a session, but I'm excited to wrap this up. This is also my second time, barely.
Okay, nice.
But I love
We're in
talking.
This together. Oh, me too.
Okay, great. Okay,
Good.
so maybe we'll have to cut it off, right? Okay, well, you can introduce yourself.
Okay.
She's basically the leader of it all, right?
Well, the cruise director, right? Like that's what my friend Cam said. So, the captain keeps the ship afloat. Slow down so I don't say bad words. The captain would probably be my mom, one of the co-founders and Lister, and I would be the cruise director. So I'm responsible for like the fun stuff, I think. That's how I see myself,
that's
right?
good.
Like the consumers experience with our brand. So I take it very seriously. The overall experience the attendee is walking away with from our event. So that's
the most important part, right? Because you want them to come back. So if they're not having a great experience, I think
it is.
People won't come back. But people seem to come back because people are here and they love it, because we've had a lot of people on the podcast and I've heard only great things.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Just
Even
wait,
the first timers. I mean, it's amazing because I'm a first timer. So I listen to other first timers, see their experience. And it's kind of similar because we're both seeing so many new things. There's so many people here. I only thought there was like what we do.
Yeah.
And then I see lawyers. I'm like, wait, what are they doing here?
Yeah.
But I didn't know. So I'm like, there's so many things to see and talk about and just kind of connect over.
I agree.
So I love it, even though I'm just doing the marketing. But I mean, I've learned so much about trade, and I just decided.
Me too, right? Like
great.
And you hear it, and it's like they do the lawyer thing, and it gets all serious, and you're like, oh my gosh, I had no idea that necklace from China was originated in Taiwan and could be like violating some kind of. I'm just like, oh gosh, supply chain, right?
Yeah, I know. I'm the same. I'm like, I haven't even thought about that.
No,
wow, $1 billion? Oh my God. Okay, well, sorry for that.
Yeah, exactly. It's big stuff.
But this is why you're doing it.
Yeah.
And this is also why you're doing it. So everyone's kind of getting to know, and if people aren't aware of this, especially first timers, now they know, right?
Right.
And we can even learn more because you have so many upcoming ICPAs too, right? I know there's an Orlando one.
Yes.
I heard that. Lalo talks about it all the time.
The big
He's
show.
so excited.
The big show. Why? Yeah.
Because I gotta get her in a sorcerer suit or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be Hermione.
Yes.
Hermione.
Oh, you should be. Oh my gosh,
I
it
will
was
be
so
Hermione.
fun. And see, I think you touched on it, right? Like we all got excited because we love Harry Potter, even though our conference is based on Larry Potter. We're not infringing on a trademark.
We don't have to go on a trademark.
Okay.
No. But
makes sense.
we're going to explore wizarding. And so I think you touched on it, right? Like, so one of the things that I feel based on my experience with this group, specifically with ICPA and the trainings, is that it is a lot, good networking, good knowledge, but it's also fun, right? Because it's so serious. Trade is so serious all the time, right? You're in big penalties. There's all this stuff. And so we bring this fun factor that was kind of originated from Linda and Ann's, my mom's creative brain, and here we are. So I think it's the mixture of that.
Yeah, it's amazing. I love it. And I love all the spins, the Western spins.
Yeah.
Like I see over there, it's like toss them tariffs. And I was like, that's so smart. Like I need to use that in one of our marketing ads, like something like that. And it's so amazing because like there's so many different people here and so many different things. I'm like, what do you do? What do you do? Like, because I never know because they don't do the same thing as we do. No. So I'm like, oh, it's so different and it's great. I loved it. First time experience and I loved it.
Thank you.
And I'm excited to be back. But do we have another question?
Well, no, what I was going to say is, I guess us being in the event business as well, Global Training Center, and March 2020, right? Mm-hmm. You and I were probably sitting there, probably drinking whiskey, drowning our sorrows.
What are we going to do?
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So that's what we made our business is in person. I mean, I'm telling you right now, this is like almost back to normal.
It is.
If not back to normal, I mean, it's amazing. Look, we had so many people.
Yeah, I think that we ended up with 297, 298 on site. And so pre-COVID, we were at around, I think we had 346. And so so for me, I look at percentages, right? I think the one thing I pulled out of the pandemic was percentages, right? And I'm not just to be, crass or, to the point necessarily without any kind of compassion, but I live in Texas. And so the news and the media was talking about, oh my gosh, 1 million people have died from COVID in Texas.
Right.
And so my friends are freaked out. Is it worse down there? And I'm like, no, we have as many people in the state as almost the entire country of Canada. right? So you have to go to percentages. That's the story of percentages for me, right? So in Canada this year, for our event, we were 83% back to normal pre-COVID numbers.
That's awesome.
I haven't run the exact percentage, but based on what I know, we're in like 91, 92 range for this event. It is because Lalo, it means I think 2023 is going to be back.
So we can't wait for Orlando because I think that's what's going to happen. It's just going to be just the same. I mean, close to 1,000, I guess, right? That's what you were getting, or if not 1,000?
We had 850 so Orlando 2019, we had 850 on site, but we always capped it at that. And we decided to, for the first time, institute a wait list program just to see. And 250 people signed up on the wait list. And that meant they went to our site and it said registration is closed. And they went through the second part, which is add your information to a wait list, which we know, I mean, there's probably more than that didn't do it, right? I mean, I would have just been like, oh, no, never mind. I'm not getting on the wait list. So we knew we could reach 1,000. That was the thing.
That was great, yeah.
And then you guys have like on demand and you have people are watching live. So people are watching this entire thing that we're doing here on site. They're watching it live, which is awesome, which I love. But then I heard you saying on demand and I'm like, oh my God, that's genius because you can always go back to it. So for 90 days after the event, they can watch it on demand. So what we saw happen at, we were in San Diego this year, and what we saw was Russian sanctions has just come out. And Matt Bell was like, the room was overflowing because he was speaking on it, and it wasn't
even scheduled.
No, and he
changed it last minute, and then he did it twice. And still not everybody saw it, but they were able to go back and watch it. And I can tell you from the metrics that our registration software provides, some of these things are being viewed, 40, 50 days later when that particular product comes up. Or that situation, I mean, that comes around, and then I can go back and watch the training. I can go home and, take it to my team. The on-demand is it's added such a value, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we have on-demand too. So we see a lot of value in that as well. But it's just like adapting to the time. I think like so much stuff happens in the world, but like what can we do, Like not just letting it control us rather than we control like how we respond to it and kind of be proactive rather than reactive,
Absolutely.
That's all we're doing. And like, obviously on demand, you're not just doing it for yourself, you're doing it for other people.
Yep.
So it shows a lot.
Thank you.
And this is all for the people actually. Like everyone is getting out of it. Everyone is getting everything out of it here. So I loved it and I love all the resources you provided at the conference.
Thank you.
So we've been getting a lot of good feedback about the networking too. I mean, y'all probably provide the best networking in the industry. I mean, it's crazy.
And you know what's funny is I think that so I have a customer service spin on this, right? Because as I've said 14 times already at this conference, I do love people. Like I loved being a waitress, one of my first jobs, because I loved the challenge of creating a different experience per table.
For
like
everyone,
that was like I wanted to make sure they had a great experience. And so I really believe what helps our networking is the casual feel to it, right? Because we're gonna get up here and make fun of ourselves, and we're gonna laugh. And we're gonna have we're gonna have a calf roping contest. You know what I mean? Like
that was so fun.
It was fun, but it kind of breaks the ice because it's. I mean, like I come in a room mouth first, obviously. I feel like maybe you.
I'm not very much like
exactly.
that.
I wasn't gonna like say it.
No, you can say it. I definitely know. I definitely know.
There's some of us in the world that just we come in right, and we're there. But for the majority of people, I would say that's not the experience. And so you're coming, you've traveled and you're tired, and you got to learn all this stuff. And how do you feel comfortable? Well, I think that's the environment we have to create, right?
That was a great icebreaker. And actually, there's so many other things other than the ICPA conference. So, you connect here at the conference with these people more on a professional level. But then you go to dinner and it's a little less professional because there's the Dallas Cowboys losing the game. I don't know if we can say that. But yes, they lost, which is very sad. But you connect with other people and then you kind of just get more personal. And I think that's how good relationships start with partners and everything else. Because once you get more personal, you can kind of get the other person more, actually talk about your feelings or towards some things. Because if it's professional, sometimes you don't want to go through to the things you don't want to talk about, right? So you do have to talk about those non-talkable things.
So
Actually, I learned that in college. They're like, you have to talk about non-talkables because they'll come up later. And then you'll get into like a feud with another person because you hadn't talked about it because you didn't want to.
Right, because you were uncomfortable.
Exactly.
'cause you
So
get-
being comfortable is so important.
That's what you get. I mean, because that's what we saw. I mean, you get the regularly scheduled sessions, right?
Yeah.
And then you get the after hours
Yeah.
sessions
Yes.
when you're sitting at the bar or at the restaurant and talking to people.
With great dinner.
And you actually even learn,
Yeah.
even because you're just shooting the breeze.
Yeah,
You know?
Exactly.
That was good. I was where it was going, but we all know, right? But you're
Yeah.
right. Like the defenses begin to come down, right? Like so, you said we begin to remove layers, and so then we realize that we have this common struggle, right? Because what I have observed from talking with these people, which is trade compliance professionals, as a group of professionals, is that they are. If I had to describe it in a word, I would say marginalized, most of them in their industry, right? Because like, let's just use company A. Maybe they sell athletic wear, and I'm being careful there. I almost said the name of a company. I want to be careful.
We can bleep it out.
Exactly. Yeah. Good. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
So maybe they sell athletic wear, and they're known for that, and that's their driving, and that's their marketing platform, right? But this person sitting at a desk who is working so hard to keep up with, changing regulations all the time, is making sure that the part of those components aren't built in China when there's a
Right.
China, and it's so incredible how meticulous they have to be and attention to
Yeah.
detail. And nobody even really knows what they do until they're in trouble. Right. So they can come here and bond with people who have that same experience,
Right.
Yeah.
and how do we make them feel empowered
Right.
in our event, I think.
Well, you're gonna like we're gonna share those interviews, but you're gonna like what that lady said was her first timer. Remember
Okay,
from
okay.
Cinemark, she said.
I didn't listen to her, but I will listen. I will listen to it then.
No, but that's what she said. She said sometimes you feel like you're alone
Yeah.
doing this
Yeah.
when you're at work. You come here and you realize everybody's has the same situation. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
and you even feel better that you can actually get the job done. And it actually helps your employer too.
Yeah,
It
it's true.
is. Like that's super important, right? And so I think for me, the reason that even though I may not have been in the industry, I think the reason that resonates with me is because I don't want to start an Oprah session and cry or anything, but I felt alone. I was tall, and tall wasn't cool back in the in the 80s and 90s as a girl. So I did feel very much alone in school and growing up. And so for me, that is I gravitate towards that. I don't want anybody to feel that way. You know what I mean? And I don't think anybody here does. I think I think there's a great group of people.
This is.
No, it is.
We're
It's
blessed
so
to
different.
have,
And
yeah.
I didn't. This was anything like. How do you say it? Like I didn't expect any of this. Like I didn't expect. I was like, who am I going to run into? Like are these people? Because I talk a lot. I'm like, do I have to shut up? I didn't know what to expect, and they're so fun.
Yeah,
people have such fun ideas, and I don't know. It was great, and I'm excited for Orlando or whatever is going to come soon.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever
Orlando.
comes next.
Yeah, whatever comes next, right? You never know. But we know that Orlando will happen, so that's exciting.
Yes,
And
it is.
we're really thankful that you came to talk to
Yeah,
us.
thank you,
Aw,
Elizabeth.
you're
Thank you so
welcome.
much.
I love to talk to you. So I
know.
kept running by, and what I love is that you kept reminding me. I appreciate that because right now I do wear a lot of hats,
Yes.
and so I'm trying to work on being able to be more free for those
Yeah.
kind of conversations.
Well,
thank
you're
you,
doing
though.
great, and I
Thank
think
you.
you're so
Yeah.
upbeat, which makes it so much easier because I think. There's always different people in the world, but seeing someone that's like so happy and always smiling and running around, whatever, doing all these things, like it's easy to approach you.
Right.
And I think it's
thank you.
important because
Yes.
if someone does have a concern or something, like,
Yeah.
people will approach you.
I
and
completely agree.
you don't look busy. I know you're busy, but you're always running. I mean, she's running from place to place, like running, sprinting.
You're
I'm sure
handling
your
everything
watch
very
or whatever.
well.
Aw,
Right.
If it's
thank
picking
you.
up, you have all the steps you need
Right.
for today and probably for the entire
I do.
year.
I do. Like I average 3,000 a day at home and about 20,000 at the conference, so I get good shoes, right?
That's amazing.
Yeah,
well,
thank you.
Thank
I
you so
appreciate
much.
that.
Thank you.
And
We
then
appreciate it.
Round of applause.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yay.
Oh, I want to do it again. That was fun.
Well, we'll
Thank
do
you.
it next
We'll
time,
see you
maybe.
in
Hopefully.
Orlando, yes,
Yes.
yes.
Hey,
Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us. Simply Trade is brought to you by the generous contributions of Global Training Center. You can follow the show and GTC on LinkedIn or Twitter and other social networks. Make sure you check out the show notes in the description for a full rundown of today's show with all the important links. Also, make sure that you share this with a friend and subscribe on your favorite streaming platform. We really like hearing from you. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to rate and review wherever you listen to this podcast. If you or someone you know would like to be a guest in the show or would like to sponsor Simply Trade or suggest any topic you would like for us to discuss, please contact us via email at simplytrade@globaltrainingcenter.com, or you can DM us on Twitter at simplytradepod. Thank you again for the privilege of your time. Happy trading. Simply Trade is not a law firm or an advisor. The topics and discussions conducted by Simply Trade hosts and guests should not be considered and is not intended to substitute legal advice. You should seek appropriate counsel for your own situations. These conversations and information are directed towards listeners in the United States for informational, educational, and entertainment purposes only and should not be substituted for legal advice. No listener or viewer of this podcast should act or refrain from acting on the basis of information on this podcast without first seeking legal advice from counsel. Information on this podcast may not be up to date depending on the time of publishing and the time of viewership. The content of this posting is provided as is. No representations are made that the content is error-free. The views expressed in or through this podcast are those of the individual speakers, not those of their respective employers or Global Training Center as a whole. All liability with respect to actions taken or not taken based on the contents of this podcast are hereby expressly disclaimed.